misinformation, disinformation. I think many people are participating in that without knowing it. I get sent stuff all the time in my DMs. People forward me videos and reels and TikToks or whatever they are. Even people I know like send me stuff, and I'm like, I can't share. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
And like sometimes I'm like, well, let me do my own research into it, right? And so seemingly there's a lot of stuff that comes across that seems very real, but it's not. I'm just curious, sort of like your own personal philosophy on that. Like, do you just like, hey, this seems real to me based off of what I know, let me share this? Or do you like, let me do a little bit of research into this? Or kind of how do you think through that?
Yeah, I'm kind of like halfway. I try to take things that make sense. First of all, like common sense. Like, would this happen in a normal scenario, right? And so half of it, it's easily thrown away. Some of it's like, you know what, that's interesting. I'll look at it a little bit deeper. Like I was at Las Vegas, right? I was in the Las Vegas shooting. My buddy got shot in the leg, right? But I knew the story they were telling was false. Like I knew there was there. I was there. I knew there wasn't one guy in a tower shooting at people. I knew there was something else going on, probably multiple shooters, right? And so I knew immediately that was fake, and what I experienced was real. And so in trying to decipher and discern what is real and what is not real, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. A lot of it comes from, like, I like to talk about mathematics. I try to bring everything back to mathematics, which is Bitcoin, right? Like if it passes the mathematical test of being true, then it's probably true, right? So like if Saylor says something or Trump says something, or, you know, I try to take it with a filter, being like, okay, this is a Bitcoin guy, this is a politician, look at it from their lens, who benefits if this comes true, who benefits if it doesn't come true. But I try to game it out. I try to Monte Carlo scenario everything. If it's important and I really want to be interested in it, I try to Monte Carlo scenario, like, what are the benefits to me if I do, you know, promote this message, or the negative effects if it's not. Does it promote freedom? Does it promote sovereignty? Does it promote good, or does it promote violence? If it promotes violence, it's put completely into the trash.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think people need to have those basic filters up, because if it's promoting something that's too good to be true, if it's promoting violence, right? Those are things I think you need to immediately just dismiss and just move on to the next thing, because there are a lot of cults out there that will get you to do stupid things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I've been in this information for a long time, and trust me, it's
yeah, because it's a new war. It's fifth generational warfare, and it's being waged on us, the citizenry, and we're not equipped to handle that.
Well, and I think people need to understand what a bicameral vision of things are as well. Like, certain things can be true and not true at the same time, but they can still lead you to a correct, like interpretation of what's happening, right? And I think if you put those hats on of like thinking something can be right and wrong at the same time, but like understanding a bigger picture for something,
is that also, like, it could be good and bad at the same time?
Yeah, like, I mean, for instance, you take like Trump. Okay, a lot of people don't like him. Some people like him. I'm a big Trump supporter myself, but a lot of people think like the election was rigged. Okay. And that, it probably was in some sense, it maybe was. But at the other thing, like, maybe he allowed it to happen, right? Maybe he allowed it to happen to expose corruption, okay? And so you can have a vision that says, yeah, well, maybe he didn't, part of that reasoning for it was to expose what's happening right now. Because had we not known of the level of corruption, had maybe he won again.
That's like 4D chess.
Yeah, 4D, 5D chess, right? Yeah. But at the same time, like, it's still a bigger vision that allows you to be like, no, he's bad, he's part of the deep state, like, and it's like, well, like, let's put the
I see that, like, I think about that, like, with, like, I think about it, like, where things can be good and bad at the same time, and people can be good and bad at the same time. So Elon Musk, right, he's standing in the face of the world for, an open platform to talk, but there's also a lot of things that he's done that also do scare me.
Yeah.
Milei down in Argentina, like, he's seemingly done amazing things, and he seems to be pro-libertarian. And then, well, what about the ties to the Jew state or the WEF or whatever
Those are
it is?
great examples. Yeah.
And it's like, well, that could both be true.
Correct.
Maybe he is part of those groups, whatever those groups you think is, and he's also doing good things there.
Yeah.
And maybe ultimately he does good things that end up being bad, and we'll figure that out when we get there. But, like, I can just be happy to accept that. And that's one thing that I see a lot. We talked before we started recording, talking about, old content I've done, talking about the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and stuff like that, and how it attracts a certain amount of people, a certain type of people who have this victim mentality. And it's not really everybody's fault. part of the 5th generation of warfare is to demoralize
Yeah.
people. So this has purposely been done to us to demoralize us and put us into that woe is me, why even try sort of attitude. But the problem that I see is that people have become so demoralized they can't take a win no matter what. And it was like and really this hit me across the eyes when Milei won in Argentina. And it was like, if he lost, it was like, oh, see, we're never going to win. They're never going to let us have it. But then he did win. And it's like, oh, he's a deep state. It's like, take a win, man. Like, you know? So it's a new level of warfare that we just haven't been equipped for.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with happened with Saylor recently, right? Where, he talks about, being in bed with the banks and stuff, but also like self-custodial Bitcoin, and they all like jumped on him for that. And so, look, I think you need to understand the bigger picture of there are certain players that are moving humanity's Overton window towards peace, freedom, and sovereignty. And they still have to have one step in this old clown world to get us there, right? Like a Michael Saylor, like a Javier Milei, like a Donald Trump, like an Elon Musk. Okay, to where they're doing things that on one level may seem, oh my God, like we're totally screwed. And then on the other hand, they're doing something that's totally, freedom, sovereignty, peace. And you're like, okay, well, like, how do I, discern
You can
that?
like this and not like that. And that's
exactly.
Okay.
But you can see a bigger vision, I think, moving forward. Like, what do we have now? We have completely decentralized internet and space.
Yeah.
Okay. And so is that a good thing or a bad thing? Probably a good thing, right? Yeah. He's putting microchips in people's brains.
I don't like that.
Maybe we don't like that, but he's also solving people that have
Although I've been wanting to learn Spanish
pain.
forever. If they could just give me Spanish, man, I'd be so happy with that.
And so I look at it from those ways. And I also think like there's something very special about Elon, Tesla, and Trump. I think it should be noted that Trump's uncle was one of the first people that actually had access to Tesla's files back when he died back in New York when he was working on the Manhattan Project, right?
Not Tesla the automobile, Tesla the original inventor.
Nikola Tesla, correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so John G. Trump, Trump's uncle, actually had first access to all of his files. He worked for MIT, he worked for the FBI, and he was able to get all that information, whatever was there. And I think some of this Tesla technology is literally kind of this slow roll military Tesla technology that's kind of been hidden from us, And if we talk about like Bitcoin as this global energy system, right? Because Bitcoin is backed by energy, we're actually forcing the world to find the cheapest ways to produce power. Okay, and so if we continue down that thread of, hey, everybody in the world, like let's compete, who can find the cheapest way to like produce power? I think eventually we get to like this free energy, right? Because if everybody's doing it, and then we have this global currency that everybody wants, everybody's finding the cheapest way to, you figure out maybe cold fusion, maybe these different things, or bringing nuclear plants back online. At the end of that, like Jason Laurie said, you get like literally free energy after a hash war because everybody is going to want this very scarce digital asset that you can only get by plugging in real power to computers and making them run.
Yeah.
So there's a lot kind of baked into that, but I think, people need to look at more of this 40,000 foot view to where we can see the good people and bad people, but like at the end of the day, the good people are winning, I think is the bottom line there.